mountaintop. Your goodness knows no bounds. Your goodness never stops. Your mercy follows me. Your kindness fills my life. Your love amazes me. And I'll sing because you're good, and I'll dance because you are good, and I'll shout because you are good, for you are good to me. Nothing and no one comes anywhere close to you. The earth and oceans only reflect this truth. And in my darkest night, you shine as bright as day. Your love amazes me. And I sing because you are good. Let's sing this chorus one last time with the voice. Let's sing because you're good. And I'll sing because you are good, and I'll dance because you are good, and I'll shout because you are good, for you are good to me. And I'll shout because you are good, and I'll dance because you are good.
It's not the same. You gotta be there. Off the hook. I'm telling you. Praise to you, man. Praise to come off the hook. Off the hook, man. Y'all missing it. Y'all standing in the gap for you. Woo!
Come on. Come on, one more time. Lift up a shout. I'm telling you, it's good tonight. Something shifted, I can feel it. You guys are radicals. Just say, come on. We're going to take a minute right now. I want the ushers to get ready if you could. Let me read a passage to you. In Acts chapter 11, in these days prophets came from Jerusalem to Antioch. Then one of them named Agabus stood up and showed by the Spirit that there was going to be a great famine throughout all the world, which also happened in the days of Claudius Caesar. Then the disciples, each according to his ability, determined to send relief or finances to the brethren dwelling in Judea. I believe that there is a famine in California right now, a spiritual famine. I believe that there's a spiritual famine in America. But what I know is this, and what I'm convinced beyond a doubt, is any time there is a spiritual famine in a land, God has an answer. He always has an answer. Anytime society begins to dip morally and socially, anytime there becomes to be a spiritual famine, God always has an answer. And his answer is, he raises up a company of people who began to lift up their voice and begin to shift the atmosphere over a nation. In this story in Acts, the prophet comes and he prophesies a famine, And the disciples' response was to take up an offering and to sow into that famine. I believe that you're here because on your heart is to shift the atmosphere over America. That we would truly see America turn to God. That we would see this nation turn back to God. And what you've done is you've come and you've lifted up your voice. There's a great quote from a revivalist, Arthur Wallace. He says this, he says, revival involves two awakening cries. God crying to man, awake, awake, O Zion, and man crying to God, awake, awake, put on strength, O arm of the Lord. And he says this, when the voice of God has awakened the church, the voice of the church will awaken God. And this is what I believe is happening, is God is beginning to awaken the church. He's beginning to awaken the people. He's beginning to awaken the church in America. And they're beginning to gather in gatherings like this, and they're beginning to lift up their voice to awaken God in our nation, to see the atmosphere shift. But hear me on this, that I believe this, anytime there's a famine, our responsibility is to sow in the time of famine.